My father's gym buddy showed up at their funeral with 3 kids. The man at my father's funeral had Dad's eyes. I noticed it the moment he walked into Riverside Memorial Chapel, 3 kids trailing behind him like ducklings. The youngest couldn't have been older than 8, clutching a worn stuffed elephant while tears streamed down her face. The middle child, maybe 12, kept adjusting his too small black tie. The oldest looked about 16 and had Dad's stubborn jawline along with those unmistakable green eyes. "Sarah, honey, who are those people?" Mom whispered, her voice still hoarse from crying. She'd barely eaten in the 4 days since Dad's heart attack, and her black dress hung loose on her shrinking frame. I had no idea, but something cold settled in my stomach as I watched the man, tall, broad-shouldered, maybe 45, scan the room like he was looking for someone specific. His gaze landed on the casket, and his composed expression cracked for just a moment. These weren't the tears of a casual acquaintance. "I'm not sure, Mom. Maybe someone from work?" But Dad had been an independent financial advisor. I knew his clients, his networking buddies, the guys from his Thursday golf league. This man was a stranger, yet he moved through the chapel with the confidence of someone who belonged. Pastor Williams was midway through his eulogy about Dad's devotion to family when the youngest child started crying, not the quiet sniffles you'd expect from a funeral, but the deep, body-shaking sobs of genuine grief. The sound cut through the pastor's words like a knife. Mom reached for my hand. "That poor little girl. She must have really cared about your father." The cold in my stomach spread to my chest. How could a child Dad had never mentioned care about him this much? I made a mental list of every story he'd told us, every late evening at client dinners, every weekend golf tournament. For the first time, the pieces felt wrong. After the service, I cornered the funeral director. "Jerry, who arranged for those additional guests?" "The man with the 3 children?" Jerry consulted his clipboard. "Marcus Hendricks. He called Tuesday night, right after the obituary ran. Said he was Robert's gym buddy and wanted to make sure he could bring his kids to pay their respects." Gym buddy. Dad had mentioned Marcus exactly twice in my 28 years, always in passing, always vague. "Oh, Marcus from the gym thinks I should try that new protein powder. Marcus suggested this restaurant." Never a last name, never an invitation to meet him, never any details. "Did he leave contact information?" "Just a phone number." Jerry scribbled it on a business card. "Nice fellow. You could tell he was really broken up about your dad." I pocketed the card and found Mom accepting casseroles from Mrs. Patterson, our neighbor. The receiving line had dwindled, but I kept scanning for Marcus and his kids. They'd vanished sometime during the burial, like smoke. "Mom, did Dad ever mention working out with someone named Marcus Hendricks?" She paused, a ceramic dish of green bean casserole halfway to the car. "Marcus. Marcus. You know, that name sounds familiar. Wasn't that his workout partner at that gym downtown? The expensive one?" "The expensive one. Gold's Fitness on 5th Street charged $180 a month. Dad had complained about our family's $45 Planet Fitness membership being too pricey, but apparently he'd been paying 4 times that elsewhere." "How long was he going to that gym, Mom?" "Oh, years now. Maybe 15? He said Marcus kept him motivated." 15 years. I pulled out my phone and dialed the number Jerry had given me. The phone rang 4 times before a tired voice answered. "Hello? Is this Marcus Hendricks?" A pause. "Who's asking?" "This is Sarah Chen. Robert's daughter." The silence stretched so long I thought he'd hung up. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely a whisper. "Sarah. God, you look just like him. I wanted to introduce myself today, but your mother seemed so fragile, and I didn't want to. How did you know my father?" Another pause. "We were close friends. Very close. I'm sorry for your loss, our loss. Bobby meant everything to me." "Bobby." Nobody called Dad Bobby except his sister in Portland, and she'd been dead for 6 years. "Your children seemed pretty upset at the funeral. Did they know my father well?" "Sarah, maybe we could meet somewhere and talk? This isn't really a phone conversation." My pulse quickened. "What exactly needs discussing, Mr. Hendricks?" "Please. There are things about your father you should know. Things that might help you understand who he really was." I agreed to meet him the next day at Penny's Diner on Roosevelt, neutral ground, public, but quiet enough to talk. After I hung up, I found Mom sorting through sympathy cards at the kitchen table. "Any luck reaching Dad's gym friend?" "We're meeting tomorrow." "Mom, can I see Dad's financial records? I need to handle the estate paperwork." She waved toward his home office. "Everything's in the filing cabinet. Password for the computer is Sarah 1995, your graduation year." Dad's office smelled like his cologne and old coffee. I'd helped him organize these files last Christmas, so I knew where everything was. Bank statements, investment accounts, insurance policies, all the mundane evidence of a careful, responsible life. But as I scrolled through his checking account, something nagged at me. Every month for the past 15 years, there was a $2,847 automatic transfer to an account I didn't recognize. The memo line always read ML Consulting. $2,800. Every single month. I grabbed a calculator. Over 15 years, that was more than $500,000. "Mom." I called out. "What's ML Consulting?" She appeared in the doorway, holding 2 cups of tea. "Never heard of it. Maybe one of his business expenses?" But Dad's business expenses were meticulous, every coffee meeting and marketing lunch documented with receipts. This was different. This was automatic, substantial, and completely off my radar. I opened his email and searched for Marcus. 17 results, but they were all from the last 6 months. The earliest was from March. "Bobby, Emma's soccer tournament got moved to Saturday. Can you make it? She's been asking if Daddy's friend is coming." Daddy's friend. My hands shook as I clicked through more emails. Marcus sending photos of the kids at a beach I didn't recognize. Dad replying with heart emojis, something he'd never used in family texts. A message about parent-teacher conferences and someone needing help with algebra homework. The most recent email was from 5 days ago, the day before Dad's heart attack. "Can't wait for Sunday dinner. Lily's making your favorite pot roast, and Jake finally learned that card trick you taught him. The kids have been counting down the days. Love you, Bobby. See you soon. Em and the crew. Sunday dinner. Dad had told us he was playing poker with clients that night. I stared at the screen until the words blurred. 15 years of Sunday dinners. 15 years of $2,847 monthly payments. 15 years of a life I knew nothing about. Tomorrow's conversation with Marcus Hendricks was going to change everything. I couldn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those 3 kids crying at Dad's funeral, heard Marcus's voice breaking when he said Bobby meant everything to me. By 5 a.m., I gave up and drove to Penny's diner 2 hours early, ordering coffee after coffee while I rehearsed questions I wasn't sure I wanted answered. Marcus arrived at exactly 9 a.m., but he looked like he hadn't slept either. Without the funeral suit, he seemed younger, more approachable in jeans and a faded blue sweater. He slid into the booth across from me, hands wrapped around a coffee mug like it was an anchor. Thank you for meeting me, he said. I wasn't sure you would. Those emails, I said without preamble. The ones about Sunday dinners and parent-teacher conferences. How long has my father been part of your family? His face went pale. You went through his computer. It's my job now. He's dead, Marcus. Whatever secrets you two shared died with him. The words came out harsher than I intended, but I needed answers. Those children at the funeral, are they his? Marcus stared into his coffee for what felt like forever. When he finally looked up, his eyes were red-rimmed. Emma is 8. Jake is 12. Lily just turned 16 last month. Bobby threw her a surprise party at Chuck E. Cheese, said he didn't care if she thought she was too old, tradition was tradition. My stomach lurched. Dad had thrown me surprise parties at Chuck E. Cheese until I turned 18. Same location, same ritual, right down to the photo booth pictures he'd insist on taking. That's not what I asked. Yes. The word came out barely audible. They're his biological children. All 3 of them. The diner suddenly felt too small, too warm. I gripped the edge of the table. And the money? The $2,847 every month? Child support. Insurance premiums. Dance classes for Emma, baseball league for Jake, college savings accounts. Marcus's voice was steady now, matter of fact. Bobby was very responsible about it. Never missed a payment in 15 years. 15 years. I did the math again. So Lily was conceived when I was 13. When my parents were supposedly working on their marriage after Dad's business nearly went under. Sarah, I know how this looks. Do you? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like my father was living a double life. Supporting your family with money that should have helped mine. Do you have any idea how many times Mom worked double shifts at the hospital because we couldn't afford basic things? How many times I heard them fighting about money in the kitchen after they thought I was asleep? Marcus flinched. He never wanted it to be like that. Bobby loved your mother, loved you. He was torn apart by it. Not torn apart enough to stop, apparently. You don't understand. When we met, I was 19 and homeless. Bobby was 32, married, trying to figure out who he was. We never planned for it to become this. He gestured helplessly. But then Lily happened, and we couldn't just pretend anymore. He wanted to leave your mother, wanted us to be a real family, but every time he got close to telling her, something would happen. Your graduation, her promotion at the hospital, your grandmother's cancer diagnosis. There was always a reason to wait. So he kept both families instead. He tried to do right by everyone. Maybe that was impossible, but he tried. I pulled out my phone and showed him our family's bank statements. This is my mother's savings account. $1,200, Marcus. That's all she has left after Dad's funeral expenses. Meanwhile, you got $500,000 over 15 years. His face crumpled. I didn't know. Bobby always said you and your mother were comfortable. He showed me pictures of your college graduation, your apartment in the city. He was so proud. He paid for exactly 1 semester of college before I had to take out loans. And that apartment? I have 3 roommates and sleep on an air mattress. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Then, the kids don't know. About you and your mother, I mean. As far as they're concerned, Bobby was their dad who traveled a lot for work. They're asking when the will reading is, when they can visit his grave again. Lily wants to speak at a memorial service. There isn't going to be a memorial service. And there definitely isn't going to be a will reading involving your children. Sarah, please. I know you're angry, but they loved him. He loved them. That has to count for something. I stood up, throwing a $10 bill on the table. What counts is that my mother is 63 years old with no retirement savings because her husband was secretly funding his other family. What counts is that I'm about to tell her the man she loved for 35 years was a lie. Wait. Marcus grabbed my wrist gently. There's something else. About the will. Bobby left something for the kids, life insurance policies, education funds. His lawyer has been trying to reach me about the estate distribution. I stared at him. What lawyer? Peterson and Associates. Downtown. Bobby updated everything 6 months ago. 6 months ago, Dad had told Mom he was getting their affairs in order for retirement. Apparently, he'd been getting his affairs in order, all right. I walked out of Penny's diner knowing that my father's betrayal was even deeper than I'd imagined. And somewhere downtown, a lawyer was sitting on documents that might destroy what little financial security my mother had left. The war for Dad's estate was about to begin. Peterson and Associates occupied the 15th floor of a glass tower downtown, the kind of place that charged by the minute and made you feel poor just walking through the lobby. I'd called ahead, claiming to be Dad's estate executor, which wasn't technically true yet but would be once the probate paperwork went through. Ms. Chen, please have a seat. Richard Peterson was younger than I'd expected, maybe 40, with a kind of expensive haircut that cost more than my monthly grocery budget. I'm sorry for your loss. Your father was a valued client. How valued? I kept my voice steady, professional. Because I'm discovering he had some financial arrangements I wasn't aware of. Peterson's smile flickered. Well, estate planning can be complex. Robert wanted to ensure all his obligations were met. He slid a manila folder across his mahogany desk. Inside were documents I'd never seen before, life insurance policies worth $350,000 each for Emma, Jake, and Lily Hendricks. College trust funds totaling $180,000. A revised will dated 6 months ago that designated Marcus as beneficiary of Dad's Fidelity investment account, currently worth $127,000. My hands went numb reading the numbers. Over $1 million, earmarked for his secret family. When exactly did my father establish these policies, Mr. Peterson? The original documents were drafted in 2008, but he's made regular updates. The most recent revision was in March. Peterson pulled out another file. He also established a monthly stipend for Mr. Hendricks, $3,200 per month, to continue for 5 years after Robert's death. I did the math. Another $192,000. And where exactly is this money supposed to come from? The sale of your father's business assets, primarily. The client list and investment portfolios he managed privately. Dad's business. The one asset I'd been counting on to keep Mom financially stable. What about his other beneficiaries? His wife and daughter? Peterson shifted uncomfortably. Your mother is listed as the primary beneficiary of his 401k and the family home, of course. And there's a $25,000 education fund established for you, though given your age. $25,000. For his legitimate daughter, the one who'd spent 28 years believing she was his priority. Mr. Peterson, I need to understand something. Was my father legally married to Marcus Hendricks? Oh, no. Nothing like that. But he was very clear about his obligations to Mr. Hendricks and the children. He considered it a moral imperative. Moral imperative. The man who'd lectured me about fiscal responsibility while I ate ramen noodles through college had felt morally obligated to fund his affair. I'll need copies of everything. Every document, every policy, every amendment. I'm afraid I can only release information pertinent to your role as. My role as the person about to contest this entire estate if you don't cooperate. I leaned forward. Because what you're describing sounds like a man who systematically defrauded his legal family to benefit his illegal one. Peterson's professional composure cracked. Ms. Chen, I understand you're upset, but your father was very specific about his wishes. He wanted to provide for all his children equally. Equally? I laughed, but it came out sharp and bitter. My college fund was $25,000. Each of his other children gets $350,000 in life insurance alone. That's your definition of equal? The circumstances were different. The circumstances were that he lied to everyone involved for 15 years. I stood up, clutching the copies he'd reluctantly provided. I'll be hiring my own attorney, Mr. Peterson. Someone who represents my interests instead of enabling my father's deception. I was halfway to the elevator when Peterson called out. Ms. Chen, there's one more thing. Your father left a sealed letter. Instructions were to give it to you after you'd reviewed the estate documents. He handed me a cream-colored envelope with my name written in Dad's careful script. My hands shook as I tore it open. Sarah. Asterisk if you're reading this, then you know the truth about Marcus and the kids. I know you hate me right now, and you have every right to. I was a coward who chose the easy lie over the hard truth, over and over, until 15 years had passed and I didn't know how to fix it anymore, asterisk. Asterisk, I need you to understand, I never stopped loving you and your mother. But I loved them too, and those children needed their father. I couldn't abandon them the way my father abandoned me, asterisk. Asterisk, the money I sent Marcus wasn't just about obligation. It was about trying to be present for my kids, even when I couldn't be there physically. Every soccer game I missed with you, I was trying to make up for with them. It wasn't fair to anyone, asterisk. Asterisk, I'm asking you to take care of them, Sarah. Not financially, that's handled, but as their sister. They're going to need family when they learn the truth about who I really was, asterisk. I'm sorry, I was never brave enough to let you all know each other while I was alive. Love. Dad. I read the letter 3 times before the words fully sank in. He wanted me to play happy family with the children whose existence had financially crippled my mother. He wanted me to welcome Marcus, the man who'd knowingly participated in destroying my parents' marriage. But as I stood in that sterile office building, one thing became crystal clear. Dad might have planned for every contingency except one. He'd never considered that his legitimate daughter might fight back. I spent the next 3 days in Dad's office, methodically dismantling 15 years of lies. Bank statements, credit card records, phone bills, I photocopied everything before Mom could ask questions. What I found made my stomach turn. The pattern was meticulous. Every birthday, Christmas, and Easter for 3 kids I'd never met. Amazon purchases shipped to Marcus's address, bicycles, gaming consoles, American Girl dolls. Dad had bought Lily the same pink bike he'd told me we couldn't afford when I was 16. The receipt was dated 2 months after he'd given me that lecture about financial responsibility. But the real gut punch was hidden in his American Express statements. 4-day weekend trips to Disneyland, charged to the card Mom thought was for business expenses. The dates coincided perfectly with his financial conferences in Los Angeles. Jake's 12th birthday at the Grand Californian Hotel, Dad had spent more on one weekend with his secret son than he'd contributed to my college fund. Sarah, honey, you've been in there for hours. Mom appeared in the doorway with a sandwich I wouldn't eat and tea that had gone cold. The insurance company needs those forms by Friday. Almost done, Mom. I minimized the browser window showing Marcus's Facebook page, 15 years of family photos Dad had never mentioned. Christmas mornings where he wore the same ridiculous reindeer sweater he'd claimed to hate when Mom gave it to him. Did Dad ever mention taking business trips to California? Oh yes, quarterly conferences with his investment group. He always complained about how boring they were. She sat down across from his desk. Said the only good part was the hotel pool. Why? Because he was lying in that pool with his other family while you worked double shifts to pay for my textbooks. Just trying to reconcile his expense reports. After Mom left, I opened a new browser tab and searched for divorce attorneys. The first consultation was free, and I needed to understand my options before this got worse. Because my gut told me Marcus wasn't going to simply accept that his meal ticket had died. My phone rang at 6:23 p.m. Unknown number. Sarah? It's Marcus. We need to talk. I think we covered everything at the diner. No, we didn't. His voice was strained, desperate. I've been thinking about what you said, about your mother's situation. Maybe we can work something out. I grabbed a pen. What kind of workaround? The life insurance policies Bobby set up for my kids, what if we split them? Half for your mother's retirement, half for their college funds. It's not perfect, but... Marcus. I cut him off. Those policies are worth over $1 million. You're offering to give up $500,000 to help my mother? The kids need college money, but they don't need multiple six-figure windfalls. And your mother. Bobby loved her, Sarah. He'd want her taken care of. For a moment, I wavered. It was more than generous, more than I'd expected from a man who owed us nothing legally. But then I remembered the Disney trips, the monthly payments that had gone on while Mom skipped meals to stretch the grocery budget. That's very noble, Marcus, but I don't think you understand the situation. I've been through Dad's financial records. Every record, every receipt, every hidden account. I let that sink in. The IRS is going to have some interesting questions about those cash deposits you've been making. The silence stretched long enough that I wondered if he'd hung up. What cash deposits? The ones that don't match Dad's automatic transfers. The extra $5,000 to $8,000 every few months, deposited into your checking account. I was bluffing, but a sharp intake of breath told me I'd hit something. Small bills, always under the reporting threshold. Very careful. Very deliberate. Sarah, I can explain. I'm sure you can. The question is whether you'll be explaining it to me or to the IRS fraud division. Please. The kids don't know about any of this. If this becomes a federal investigation, then maybe you should have thought about that before you spent 15 years helping my father commit tax fraud. I hung up before he could respond. My hands were shaking, but not from fear this time. Marcus Hendricks had just revealed that Dad's betrayal went deeper than infidelity and secret families. This was about to become a criminal matter. The next morning, I was back at Peterson and Associates by 8 a.m., this time with a recorder app running on my phone and a list of very specific questions. Mr. Peterson, I need to discuss some irregularities I found in my father's financial records. Specifically, cash transactions that don't appear in his documented income. Peterson's coffee cup froze halfway to his lips. I'm not sure what you mean. I mean the $73,000 in undocumented payments to Marcus Hendricks over the past 2 years. Small bills, irregular timing, no paper trail linking them to my father's legitimate income sources. I pulled out photocopied bank statements. These deposits into Marcus's account don't match the automatic transfers from Dad's checking. So where was this extra money coming from? The lawyer set down his cup with trembling hands. Ms. Chen, I think you may be misunderstanding. Help me understand, then. Because it looks like my father was skimming cash from somewhere to fund his double life, and you've been facilitating it through these estate documents. Peterson stood abruptly. I think this conversation should end here. If you have concerns about potential financial irregularities, you should contact the appropriate authorities. Oh, I plan to. I smiled sweetly. But first, I wanted to give you a chance to explain why a reputable law firm would help a client hide assets from his legal spouse. Because that's what this looks like, Mr. Peterson. 15 years of systematic asset concealment. His face had gone pale. Your father was very clear that all his arrangements were legal. Legal and ethical aren't the same thing, though, are they? I leaned forward. How many other clients do you help maintain secret families? Is this a specialty service Peterson and Associates advertises? That's enough. Peterson moved toward the door. This meeting is over. Any further communication should go through your attorney. Already hired one. Janet Morrison from Morrison and Associates. She specializes in estate fraud and marital asset recovery. I gathered my papers slowly, deliberately. She'll be filing a formal challenge to the will by Friday. Expect a subpoena for all your files related to my father's accounts. I was halfway out when Peterson called after me. Ms. Chen, for what it's worth, your father struggled with this situation. He never wanted to hurt anyone. I turned back. Mr. Peterson, my father spent more on one Disneyland vacation with his secret kids than he contributed to my entire college education. Whatever struggles he had didn't extend to his wallet. The elevator ride down felt like victory, but it was short-lived. My phone was buzzing with 3 missed calls from Mom and a text, emergency. Come home now. I found her in the living room, surrounded by scattered papers and manila envelopes. Her face was streaked with tears, and she was holding something that made my blood freeze, Dad's second cell phone, the one I'd found hidden in his desk drawer but hadn't had the courage to unlock yet. Sarah, honey, sit down. Her voice was hollow. That attorney's office called looking for you. When I couldn't reach you, I started going through your father's things myself. She held up the phone. The password was Emma's birthday. Emma, Sarah. He named one of them Emma. My sister Emma. The 8-year-old who'd sobbed at Dad's funeral. Mom, I was going to tell you. Tell me what? That my husband had 3 children with another man? That he's been supporting them for 15 years while I worked nights to pay for your school supplies? She laughed, but it came out broken. Or were you going to tell me about the house? What house? Mom handed me a real estate document from the scattered papers. The 4-bedroom colonial on Maple Street. Your father bought it in 2019. Deed says it's owned by Robert Chen and Marcus Hendricks, joint tenants with rights of survivorship. I stared at the document. A house. Dad had bought Marcus a $340,000 house while Mom still drove her 2003 Honda with the broken air conditioning. There's more. Mom's voice was getting steadier, which somehow made it worse. Life insurance policies I never knew about. College funds for children I've never met. And this, she held up a birthday card with a child's handwriting. Happy birthday, Daddy. Thank you for the new bike. Love, Jake. P.S. When can we meet your other family? The room spun. Jake knew about us. At least one of Dad's secret children knew Mom and I existed, which meant Marcus knew they knew. Mom, I'm handling this. I've hired an attorney, and we're going to contest. Contest what, Sarah? The fact that your father lived a lie for 15 years? That he chose them over us every single day? She stood up, and I saw something in her eyes I'd never seen before, not grief, but rage. Do you know what I found in his email? 16 years of I love yous to another man. 16 years of family photos at Christmas mornings I thought he was spending with us. She walked to Dad's desk and pulled out a framed photo I'd never noticed, our family portrait from last Christmas. But now I could see what I'd missed before. Dad's smile looked forced, distracted. Like he was already planning his escape to Maple Street. I'm not contesting anything, Sarah. I'm done. Mom's voice was calm now, final. Let them have the money, the house, the policies. I want every trace of your father's lies out of my life. Mom, no. We can't just give up. That money belongs to. To who? To the woman who lived a lie for 35 years? To the daughter who worked 3 jobs through college because her father claimed we couldn't afford tuition? She shook her head. I'm 63 years old, Sarah. I don't have the energy to fight for scraps from a man who never wanted me to begin with. As she walked upstairs, I heard her bedroom door close with quiet finality. And I realized that Marcus Hendricks and his children had just won the first battle in a war they didn't even know they were fighting. But they'd made one crucial mistake. They'd underestimated how far I'd go to protect what was left of my family. The next morning, I called in sick to work and drove to Maple Street. The house was everything our cramped rental wasn't: white picket fence, manicured lawn, one of those expensive swing sets in the backyard that I begged Dad for when I was 10. A silver Honda Pilot sat in the driveway next to Dad's BMW, which I'd assumed was still at the airport from his last business trip. I parked across the street and watched. At 7:23 a.m., Marcus emerged with Jake and Emma, lunchboxes in hand, looking like a scene from a sitcom about perfect families. Jake had Dad's laugh. I could hear it from 50 yards away as Marcus said something that made him double over with giggles. They looked happy. Comfortable. Like they belonged in this life Dad had built for them while Mom and I scraped by. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Sarah, this is Lily. Got your number from Dad's phone. Can we please talk? There's stuff you need to know about Marcus. I stared at the message. Lily, Dad's oldest secret daughter, the 16-year-old who'd inherited his stubborn jaw. What could she possibly want to tell me about her own father figure? I texted back, when and where? After school today. Starbucks on 5th Street, 4 p.m. Please come alone. By 3:45, I was nursing my second coffee and rehearsing what I'd say to my half-sister. The girl who walked in looked nothing like the composed teenager from the funeral. Her eyes were red-rimmed, her usual confidence replaced by something that looked like fear. Sarah? Her voice was smaller than I expected. Lily. I gestured to the empty chair across from me. You said there was something I needed to know about Marcus. She sat down, clutching a worn backpack like a shield. He's not our dad. The words hit me like a physical blow. What? Marcus isn't our biological father. We just found out yesterday. Lily's hand shook as she pulled out a manila envelope. Jake was going through your dad's, computer for photos to make a memorial video. He found these. She slid DNA test results across the table. 3 separate tests, all dated within the last 6 months. All showing Robert Chen as the biological father of Lily, Jake, and Emma Hendricks. Marcus has been lying to us our entire lives, Lily continued. He told us Dad was just a family friend who helped out financially. Said our real father died in a car accident before we were born. Her voice cracked. But Jake found emails going back years. Dad wasn't Marcus's friend, Sarah. He was his boyfriend. His partner. And we're all Dad's kids, not Marcus's. I read through the test results twice, my mind reeling. When did Marcus find out? That's the thing, I think he's always known. There are emails from 2008, right after I was born, talking about paternity and child support arrangements. Lily pulled out printed emails. Look at this one. The email was from Dad to Marcus, dated 3 months after Lily's birth. The test confirms what we already suspected. She's mine, which means we need to formalize the support arrangements. I'll have Peterson draw up the documents. Whatever happens between us, I won't let my daughter grow up without her father's financial support. Whatever happens between us, I repeated. They were having relationship problems even then. It gets worse. Lily handed me another printout. This is from 2015, when Jake was born. Dad wanted to leave your mom and make us a real family. Marcus refused. I scanned the email chain, my stomach churning with each revelation. Asterisk Marcus, I can't keep living this double life. Sarah's starting high school, and I want to be there for all my children equally. It's time to tell everyone the truth, Bobby asterisk. Asterisk, you know that's impossible. Your wife would take half of everything, and then what happens to the kids' college funds? To this house? You want to destroy their security for your guilty conscience, M asterisk. Asterisk, it's not about guilt. It's about being honest with the people I loved, Bobby asterisk. Asterisk, then love them enough to keep them safe. Some secrets protect more than they hurt, M asterisk. Marcus has been manipulating him for years, Lily said quietly. Every time Dad tried to come clean, Marcus would threaten to disappear with us. Said Dad would never see his kids again if he left your mom. I set down the emails, my hands trembling. Lily, why are you showing me this? Because Marcus is planning something. After the lawyer called yesterday, he's been making phone calls, moving money around. Jake heard him on the phone with someone saying the Chen girl was going to ruin everything. She leaned forward urgently. He's scared, Sarah. And scared people do desperate things. What kind of desperate things? I don't know yet. But he's been asking weird questions about Dad's business, about whether anyone else had access to his client accounts. Lily's voice dropped to a whisper. I think Marcus has been stealing from Dad's clients. And now that Dad's dead, he's afraid you're going to find out. The Starbucks suddenly felt too loud, too crowded. If Marcus had been embezzling from Dad's investment clients, it explained the extra cash deposits, the undocumented income that had been funding their lifestyle. Lily, I need you to be very careful around Marcus right now. Don't let him know we talked, don't mention the emails you found. Too late. Her face went pale as she looked toward the window. He's here. I turned to see Marcus's silver Honda pulling into the parking lot, his face a mask of cold fury as he spotted us through the glass. Back exit, I said, grabbing Lily's arm. Now. We made it to my car just as Marcus rounded the corner of the building, his face twisted with an anger I'd never seen before. Lily scrambled into the passenger seat, her hands shaking as she buckled her seatbelt. Drive, she whispered. Please, just drive. I pulled out of the parking lot, checking the rearview mirror every few seconds. Marcus stood in the middle of the sidewalk, phone pressed to his ear, watching us disappear into traffic. He's calling someone, Lily said, twisting around to look back. Probably telling them we talked. Who would he call? I don't know, but he's been on the phone a lot lately with someone named Vincent. Always in hushed voices, always when he thinks we're asleep. She pulled out her phone and showed me a contact list. I copied this from his phone yesterday. Look. The contact was listed as Vincent Parker, CPA. My blood ran cold as I recognized the name, Dad's accountant, the one who'd handled his business taxes for the past 8 years. Lily, this is huge. If Marcus has been working with Dad's accountant. There's more. She scrolled through her photos. I took pictures of papers in Marcus's room. Bank statements, client account numbers, something called wire transfer authorizations. The images were blurry but readable. Account numbers I recognized from Dad's files, alongside handwritten notes in Marcus's script, reinvest $15,000 to offshore VM handling transfer, and client won't notice $8,000 missing from quarterly dividend, split 60/40 as usual. VM, I said aloud. Vincent and Marcus. They've been stealing from Dad's clients for years, Lily confirmed. The extra money you asked Marcus about? It wasn't just from Dad. They were skimming from investment accounts and splitting the profits. I pulled over at a gas station, my mind racing. This wasn't just about Dad's secret family anymore, this was about a systematic embezzlement scheme that could destroy dozens of innocent investors. People who trusted Dad with their retirement funds, their children's college savings. How much money are we talking about, Lily? She showed me another photo, a handwritten ledger with amounts and dates. From what I can tell, maybe $200,000 over 3 years. Small amounts from different accounts so nobody would notice. $200,000. Enough to fund Marcus's comfortable lifestyle, enough to make the house payments on Maple Street, enough to keep him dependent on continued theft to maintain appearances. Lily, I need to ask you something important. Are you willing to testify about what you found? Because if we're going to stop this, we need evidence. Her face went pale. Testify where? Like, in court? Probably. And it means Marcus will know you betrayed him. It means your whole life is about to change. I reached over and squeezed her hand. But it also means we can protect other people from losing their life savings. She was quiet for a long moment, staring at the photos on her phone. When she finally looked up, I saw Dad's determination in her eyes, the same stubborn resolve that had driven him to build his double life, now turned toward dismantling it. Marcus isn't my father, she said firmly. He's been lying to me my whole life, using me and Jake and Emma as leverage to control Dad. Her voice grew stronger. If he's been stealing from innocent people, then yeah, I'll testify. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Tell your half-sister to keep her mouth shut, or she won't have a family to come home to. Some secrets are worth killing for. I showed Lily the message. Her face went white, but her jaw set in that familiar stubborn line. He just made this personal, she said quietly. What do we do now? I started the car, already planning our next move. Marcus had just threatened a 16-year-old girl to cover up his crimes. He'd picked the wrong family to intimidate. I drove Lily straight to the police station, but the desk sergeant looked at us like we were reporting stolen bicycles instead of a multi-year embezzlement scheme. Let me get this straight, Officer Martinez said, flipping through the photos Lily had taken. You're saying your father's accountant has been stealing from client accounts, and your stepfather just threatened you via text. He's not my stepfather, Lily corrected firmly. And yes, that's exactly what we're saying. Martinez glanced between us skeptically. These bank statements, how did you obtain them? I found them in Marcus's room, Lily said. Along with the emails proving he knew my real father wanted to leave his wife years ago. So you went through someone else's private documents without permission. Martinez set down the papers. And now you want us to investigate based on what amounts to stolen evidence from a minor who was snooping through her guardian's belongings. My heart sank. He wasn't taking us seriously. Officer, there's a clear paper trail here. The wire transfers, the account numbers, would need to be verified by a forensic accountant, which requires a warrant, which requires probable cause beyond a family dispute over inheritance. Martinez leaned back in his chair. Look, I get it. Death brings out the worst in families. But unless someone files a formal complaint alleging specific financial crimes. I'm filing a formal complaint, I said immediately. Against Marcus Hendricks and Vincent Parker for conspiracy to commit wire fraud and embezzlement. Are you a victim of the alleged crimes? My father's clients are the victims. I'm filing on behalf of his estate. Martinez sighed and pulled out a form. I'll take your statement, but honestly? This is going to end up with the district attorney's white-collar crime unit, and they're backed up for months. Meanwhile, if this Marcus guy really did threaten your sister. Half-sister, Lily muttered. Whatever. If he threatened her, you might want to consider staying somewhere else tonight. 20 minutes later, we walked out with a case number and zero confidence that anything would happen quickly enough to matter. Lily checked her phone and cursed under her breath. 17 missed calls for Marcus. And look at this. She showed me a text thread with Jake. Where are you? Marcus is freaking out. He packed our stuff and says we're going to stay with Aunt Carol in Phoenix until things calm down. Flight leaves at 6 a.m. I checked my watch. 4:47 p.m. If Marcus was planning to flee Arizona with the kids, we had less than 14 hours. Lily, where does your aunt live exactly? She doesn't. Aunt Carol died 2 years ago. Lily's face went pale. Jake doesn't know that. He was only 10 when it happened, and Marcus told him she just moved away. My blood ran cold. Marcus was planning to disappear with Jake and Emma, using a dead relative as cover. Call Jake right now. Tell him to pack a bag and meet us somewhere public. Don't mention Aunt Carol. He won't leave Emma, and she's only 8. She'll be scared. Then we get them both. I started the car, mind racing through possibilities. Is there somewhere they go regularly? Somewhere Marcus wouldn't think to look first? Jake has baseball practice at Roosevelt Park until 6. Coach Martinez always keeps them late on Thursdays. Lily was already texting. Emma usually plays on the playground while she waits for him. Roosevelt Park was 15 minutes away if we hit traffic right. I pulled out of the police station parking lot just as my phone rang, Mom's number. Sarah, where are you? That lawyer Peterson called the house looking for you. Said it was urgent about your father's estate. What did he want? Something about irregularities in the account transfers. He sounded nervous, honey. Said you needed to call him back immediately. Mom paused. There was something else. A man came by the house asking questions about your father's business records. Said he was from some insurance company, but he didn't look like an insurance investigator. What did he look like? Older, maybe 60. Expensive suit, very polite. But his questions were odd, wanted to know if your father kept client files at home, whether anyone else had access to his computer. Mom's voice dropped. Sarah, I think I made a mistake. I told him you'd been going through everything in the office. Vincent Chin Parker. Dad's accountant was making house calls, trying to figure out how much we knew. Mom, listen carefully. Pack a bag and go stay with Aunt Rita tonight. Don't tell anyone where you're going, and don't answer the door for anyone you don't know. Sarah, you're scaring me. Good. Be scared. These people have been stealing money for years, and now they're trying to cover their tracks. I turned into Roosevelt Park's parking lot. I'll call you later, but right now I need to find Jake and Emma. I hung up and turned to Lily. There, red shirt by the batting cages. Is that Jake? Yeah, and Emma's on the swings behind him. Lily was already unbuckling her seatbelt. But Sarah, what if Marcus shows up? What if he tries to take them? Then we call 911 and hope Officer Martinez takes kidnapping more seriously than embezzlement. I grabbed her arm as she opened the door. Lily, once we do this, there's no going back. Jake and Emma are going to learn that everything they believed about their family was a lie. Are you ready for that? She looked across the playground at her younger siblings, Jake concentrating intensely on his batting stance, Emma pumping her legs to swing higher. For a moment, I saw her hesitate, saw the weight of destroying their innocence settle on her shoulders. Then her phone buzzed with another text from Marcus, found your little boyfriend's car at the police station. Hope you enjoyed your chat with the cops, sweetheart. See you real soon. Lily's face hardened. He's been watching us. Taking photos. She showed me the message thread, an image of us walking out of the police station, timestamp from 20 minutes ago. That's not protective, I said grimly. That's predatory. Jake. Emma. Lily called out, waving them over. Come here, I want you to meet someone. As my half-siblings ran toward us, I realized we'd just crossed a line that would change all our lives forever. But Marcus had made one crucial error. He'd underestimated how far 3 of Robert Chen's children would go to protect each other. Jake and Emma ran over with the unguarded enthusiasm that only kids could manage, grass stains on their knees and genuine smiles that made my chest ache. Up close, the family resemblance was undeniable. Emma had Dad's dimples, and Jake's laugh was identical to mine when I was his age. Lily, who's this? Emma asked, eyeing me curiously while clutching a juice box that had seen better days. This is Sarah, Lily said carefully. She was friends with Dad. With Bobby. Jake's face lit up. You knew our dad? Marcus said we weren't supposed to talk to people about him because it might make us sad, but I miss him so much. His voice cracked slightly. Did he really have to travel all the time for work? The innocence in his question nearly broke me. Here was my 12-year-old half-brother, desperate for stories about the father who'd spent every Sunday with him while telling my mother he was playing poker. Jake, we need to go somewhere and talk, I said gently. All of us. There are some things about your dad, about our dad, that you need to know. Our dad? Emma's eyes went wide. Are you our sister? Before I could answer, Lily's phone exploded with notifications. Text after text from Marcus, where are my kids? Bring them home now. You have no idea what you're messing with. Then my phone rang. Marcus. I answered on speaker. What do you want? I want my family back. His voice was tight with controlled rage. You've got Lily filling Jake and Emma's heads with lies about me, about their father. This stops now. The lies stop now, I agreed. Starting with you admitting that you've been embezzling from Dad's clients for 3 years. Dead silence. Then, you don't know what you're talking about. Vincent Chin Parker ring any bells? Wire transfer authorizations? The $200,000 you and Dad's accountant have been skimming from retirement accounts? I watched Jake's face go pale as the implications sank in. Did you really think we wouldn't find the paper trail? Those are legitimate investment fees. Bullshit. I've got Vincent's handwritten notes talking about offshore accounts and splitting proceeds 60-40. I've got bank statements showing cash deposits that don't match Dad's documented income. I was bluffing about some details, but Marcus's sharp intake of breath told me I was hitting close to home. How many retirees have you robbed, Marcus? How many college funds have you stolen? Jake grabbed Emma's hand, his face stricken. Sarah, what's he talking about? Marcus wouldn't steal from people. Jake, honey, Lily said gently, there are things about Marcus we didn't know. Things he's been hiding from us. My phone buzzed with an incoming call. Peterson, the estate attorney. I let it go to voicemail, but 30 seconds later, Lily's phone rang. It's Marcus again, she whispered. Don't answer it. I was thinking fast, trying to figure out our next move when Emma tugged on my sleeve. Sarah, there's a man watching us from the parking lot. He's been there since we started talking. I followed her gaze and felt my blood freeze. A silver Honda Civic with tinted windows, parked 3 spaces away from where we'd entered the park. I could make out a figure in the driver's seat, but couldn't see details through the glass. That's not Marcus's car, Lily said, squinting across the lot. His is the Honda Pilot, and it's silver, not gray. My phone rang again. This time it was an unknown number. Ms. Chen? This is Vincent Chen Parker. I believe we need to have a conversation about your father's business arrangements. There seem to be some misunderstandings that could be problematic for everyone involved. The only problem I see is that you've been stealing from his clients. Now, that's a very serious accusation. One that could have unfortunate consequences if it were made public without proper evidence. His voice was smooth, professional, terrifying in its calm certainty. I'm sure we can reach an understanding that protects everyone's interests. What kind of understanding? The kind where you stop digging through files that don't concern you, and certain information about your father's creative bookkeeping method stays private. The threat was clear: back off, or he'd destroy Dad's reputation publicly. But there was something else in his tone. Desperation masked his confidence. Vincent, are you the one in the gray Honda watching us right now? The line went dead. I grabbed Jake's and Emma's hands. We're leaving. Now. But as we headed toward my car, the gray Honda's engine started, and I realized Vincent Chen Parker wasn't just making threats. He was making sure we couldn't leave the park alive. The gray Honda lurched forward as we reached my car, and I realized Vincent wasn't just following us, he was positioning to block our exit. I fumbled with my keys while Jake and Emma pressed against my sides, their earlier excitement replaced by genuine fear. Sarah, what's happening? Emma whispered, her small hand gripping my jacket. Get in the car, everybody. Now. I managed to unlock the doors just as Vincent's Honda screeched to a stop perpendicular to my bumper, trapping us in the parking space. Through his windshield, I could see him clearly for the first time, silver-haired, expensive suit, the kind of man who looked like he belonged at charity galas, not threatening children in parking lots. He stepped out of his car with calculated calm, smoothing his tie like he was heading into a business meeting. Ms. Chen, I think we got disconnected. Perhaps we could finish our conversation face-to-face. Kids, stay behind me, I said, stepping forward to put myself between Vincent and my half-siblings. Mr. Chen Parker, I don't think intimidating minors is standard CPA practice. Intimidating? He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. I prefer protecting your father's reputation, his family's financial security, the retirement savings of dozens of clients who don't need to know about certain irregularities in their account management. Lily pulled out her phone. I'm calling 911. I wouldn't do that, dear. Vincent's voice remained eerily pleasant. You see, I have documentation showing that your father wasn't just aware of the account transfers, he initiated most of them. Bank security footage of him making cash withdrawals, email authorizations with his digital signature, even handwritten notes in his filing cabinet. My stomach dropped. You're saying Dad was the mastermind? I'm saying that if this becomes a criminal investigation, Robert Chen will be remembered as the financial advisor who robbed his clients to fund his secret gay lifestyle. Every newspaper in the city will run that story, Ms. Chen. Every investor who trusted him will lose their life savings, and every family member will be painted as either complicit or pathetically naive. Jake stepped forward, his young face twisted with confusion and anger. Stop talking about our dad like that. He wasn't a thief. Oh, but he was, son. 57 separate transfers totaling $847,000 over 4 years. All documented, all traceable back to your daddy's desperate need to keep Marcus and you children happy while maintaining his respectable marriage. $847,000. The number hit like a physical blow, far more than the $200,000 Lily had estimated for Marcus's notes. You're lying, Emma said fiercely, tears streaming down her face. Daddy was good. He brought me presents and helped with my math homework and taught Jake how to throw curveballs. Vincent's expression softened mockingly. Of course he did, sweetheart. With money stolen from other people's children's college funds. My phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. Vincent called. Says you're at Roosevelt Park making threats. Whatever he's telling you is lies. Get the kids out of there now. I showed the message to Lily, whose face went pale. If Marcus is warning us about Vincent, then maybe the partnership isn't as solid as we thought, I finished. My mind raced through possibilities. If Vincent was acting alone, threatening us without Marcus's knowledge, it meant their criminal conspiracy was falling apart. Mr. Chen Parker, I said carefully, does Marcus know you're here? His practiced smile flickered for just a moment, long enough to confirm my suspicion. Vincent Chen Parker was operating solo, trying to contain a situation that was spiraling beyond his control. Marcus is overly sentimental about the children, he said finally. He doesn't understand that sometimes protecting people requires difficult choices. Behind him, I noticed a Roosevelt City police cruiser turning into the park. Officer Martinez, making his evening rounds. Kids, I whispered, when I count to 3, run toward that police car and don't look back. Vincent followed my gaze and his composure finally cracked. Ms. Chen, you're making a mistake that will destroy everyone you're trying to protect. 1, I said quietly. The evidence against your father is overwhelming. I can make this go away, but only if. 2. Vincent's hand moved toward his jacket pocket, and I saw something that made my blood freeze, the outline of what looked distinctly like a weapon. 3. Jake, Emma, and Lily scattered like startled birds, their sneakers pounding against the asphalt as they raced toward Officer Martinez's patrol car. I stayed frozen, watching Vincent's hand hover near his jacket while calculating whether I could reach my car door before he could reach whatever he was carrying. Officer. Officer Martinez. Lily's voice cracked as she waved frantically at the cruiser. Help us. There's a man with a gun. Vincent's face went ashen. There's no gun, you stupid girl. But Martinez was already out of his car, hand on his holster, moving with the swift efficiency of someone who'd handled real threats before. Everyone step away from each other. Hands where I can see them. Vincent slowly raised his hands, his expensive suit suddenly looking more like a costume than armor. Officer, this is a misunderstanding. I'm Vincent Chen Parker, CPA. These children are upset about a family financial matter. The misunderstanding, I called out, is that Mr. Chen Parker thinks he can threaten kids to cover up embezzlement charges. Martinez's radio crackled as he called for backup. Sir, I'm going to need you to turn around and place your hands on your vehicle. This is ridiculous. I'm a respected professional. With your hands in your jacket pocket near what looked like a weapon, Martinez said firmly. Turn around. Now. As Vincent reluctantly complied, Jake appeared at my elbow, his face streaked with tears but his voice steady. Sarah, I recorded everything on my phone. From when he started talking about Daddy stealing money. Everything? Everything. Including when he said he had documentation to frame Dad. Jake held up his phone with shaking hands. Is it true? Did our dad really steal all that money? Before I could answer, my phone rang again. Marcus, and this time I answered on speaker so the kids could hear. Sarah, thank God. Are you all okay? Vincent just called me screaming about police and recordings. We're fine, but Vincent just threatened us with what looked like a weapon. Marcus, I need you to tell me the truth. How much of this embezzlement scheme was Dad's idea? Dead silence. Then, get the kids away from there. Take them somewhere safe and I'll explain everything, but not over the phone. Vincent's been recording calls for months. Officer Martinez looked up from where he was searching Vincent's pockets. Got a digital recorder and what appears to be a concealed carry permit. He held up a small pistol. Weapon was legal, but brandishing it at minors isn't. Emma tugged at my sleeve. Sarah, I'm scared. Where are we going to sleep tonight? Marcus said we were going to visit Aunt Carol, but Lily said she's dead. The weight of the situation crashed over me. 3 traumatized kids, a father figure who might be a criminal or a victim, an accountant in police custody for threatening us, and a mother at home who still didn't know her husband's betrayal had extended far beyond simple infidelity. You're going to stay with me tonight, I heard myself say. All 3 of you. Lily looked surprised. At your apartment? But you said you have roommates and sleep on an air mattress. We'll figure it out. I glanced at Officer Martinez, who was now reading Vincent his rights. Officer, how long before we know what charges he's facing? Depends on what the DA's office finds when they dig into those account records you mentioned earlier. Could be anywhere from overnight to several days. He approached us, his expression gentler now. Kids, you did the right thing running when you felt unsafe. That kind of quick thinking probably prevented a dangerous situation. Vincent's voice carried across the parking lot as Martinez loaded him into the patrol car. This won't end here. The evidence speaks for itself. Robert Chen was the architect of everything. Jake flinched at the harsh words about Dad, and I realized that whatever the truth was about the embezzlement, these children deserved better than having their father's memory destroyed by accusations shouted in a park. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Check your email. Sent you something that changes everything about Vincent and your father. A friend. I stared at my phone screen, my finger hovering over the email notification. A friend could be anyone, another of Vincent's associates, someone trying to manipulate us further, or possibly someone with legitimate information about Dad's involvement in the embezzlement scheme. Sarah, what is it? Lily asked, noticing my hesitation. Someone sent me an email. Claims it changes everything about Vincent and Dad. I glanced around the parking lot, now swarming with 2 additional police cars and a detective taking statements. Let me check it in the car where we have some privacy. We piled into my Honda, the 3 kids squeezing into the back seat while I opened the email. The sender was listed as Armendoza2947 at protonmail.com, completely unfamiliar. Sarah. Asterisk, my name is Rosa Mendoza. I was your father's client for 8 years, and I've been investigating discrepancies in my investment accounts for the past 6 months. What I found will shock you, asterisk. Asterisk, Vincent Chin Parker has been systematically stealing from your father's clients, but Robert was not involved. In fact, I have evidence that your father discovered the theft in February and was preparing to expose Vincent to the authorities, asterisk. Asterisk, I've attached bank surveillance footage from March 15th, 3 weeks before your father's heart attack. Vincent didn't know the bank's new security system captures audio along with video. Listen to what he says to your father in this recording, asterisk. Asterisk, your father was a good man trying to do the right thing. Vincent killed him for it, asterisk. Asterisk, meet me tonight at 9 p.m. at Denny's on Oakwood. Come alone, and bring the children's DNA evidence. There are more victims than you know, asterisk. Rosa. My hand shook as I clicked the video attachment. Grainy surveillance footage showed Dad and Vincent standing at the customer service counter of First National Bank. Dad looked agitated, gesturing emphatically while Vincent stood with his arms crossed, his face cold and calculating. I turned up my phone's volume and hit play. Dad's voice came through clearly. Told you, Vincent, I found the unauthorized transfers. $800,000, Vincent. From my clients' retirement accounts. People who trusted me with their life savings. Vincent's response was barely audible but chilling. Bobby, you need to think very carefully about what you're saying. Accusations like that could destroy both our careers. I'm not making accusations, I'm stating facts. I had the bank records, the transfer authorizations with your forged signature stamps, everything. Dad's voice grew stronger. I'm filing a complaint with the state attorney general on Monday. No, you're not. Vincent stepped closer, and his next words made my blood freeze. Because if you do, those same transfer records will show that the offshore account receiving the stolen funds is registered to Marcus Hendricks, your boyfriend. How do you think that investigation will look, Bobby? Gay financial advisor steals from clients to fund his secret family's lavish lifestyle? Dad's face went pale in the footage. You wouldn't. Marcus doesn't know anything about the missing money. Doesn't matter what he knows. Matters what I can prove. That house on Maple Street, the kids' private school tuition, the Disney trips, all funded by client money, all traceable back to you. Vincent's smile was predatory. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to forget what you think you found, and we're going to continue our very profitable business relationship. I won't let you steal from these people. Then you'll go to prison for theft, your boyfriend will go to prison as an accessory, and those 3 kids you love so much will end up in foster care. Vincent leaned closer. Is exposing me worth destroying Marcus and the children? The footage ended with Dad walking away, his shoulders slumped in defeat. Jake was crying quietly in the back seat. Vincent was threatening Daddy. He was going to hurt us and Marcus if Daddy told the truth. Dad wasn't the thief, Emma whispered. He was trying to stop the thief. Lily grabbed my arm. Sarah, look at the date stamp. March 15th was 3 weeks before Dad died. What if his heart attack wasn't natural? Before I could respond, my phone rang. Marcus. Sarah, where are you? I just got a call from someone named Rosa Mendoza. She says she has information about Robert's death, and that Vincent might have. His voice broke. God, Sarah, what if Bobby didn't die from stress? What if Vincent poisoned him? I felt the world tilt sideways. Poisoned him how? Digitalis. It's a heart medication that's deadly in high doses, causes massive cardiac arrest that looks completely natural unless you're specifically testing for it. Marcus's words came out in a rush. Rosa says she's a retired nurse, that she's been investigating Vincent for months. She found medical supply orders, Sarah. Vincent has been buying Digitalis online. Officer Martinez appeared at my car window, tapping gently. Ms. Chen, we need statements from all of you. The detective wants to understand exactly what Vincent said before he was arrested. I rolled down the window. Officer, I just received evidence that Vincent Chen Parker may have murdered my father. And there's a witness who wants to meet with us tonight. Martinez's expression sharpened. What kind of evidence? I handed him my phone with the bank surveillance footage queued up. Audio recording of Vincent blackmailing my father 3 weeks before he died. And possibly evidence that he used Digitalis to induce Dad's heart attack. As Martinez watched the footage, his face grew grim. Ms. Chen, if what this Rosa Mendoza is claiming is true, we're not just looking at embezzlement anymore. We're looking at premeditated murder. Jake's voice was small but determined. Officer Martinez, we want to help catch the man who killed our daddy. And I realized that my father's 3 secret children were about to become the key witnesses in exposing his killer. The meeting with Rosa Mendoza at Denny's turned into something none of us expected. She arrived with 3 banker's boxes full of evidence and a revelation that made Vincent's threats look like child's play. Your father wasn't Vincent's first victim, Rosa said, spreading documents across the sticky table while Jake, Emma, and Lily sat wide-eyed beside me. I've been tracking this pattern for 2 years, ever since my husband's retirement account was cleaned out. She pulled out a manila folder labeled Deceased Clients. My stomach dropped as I saw the thickness of it. 7 financial advisors over the past decade. All worked with Vincent as their accountant. All died of sudden heart attacks within weeks of discovering discrepancies in client accounts. Rosa's weathered hand shook as she opened the folder. Martin Silva, age 42. Discovered $230,000 missing from client accounts, died of cardiac arrest 6 days later. Jennifer Walsh, 38. Found unauthorized transfers totaling $180,000, dead of heart failure 2 weeks after confronting Vincent. Emma grabbed my hand under the table. He killed other people too? The Digitalis purchases go back 4 years, Rosa continued, pulling out printed receipts. Always ordered under different business names, always paid with prepaid credit cards, always shipped to P.O. boxes that Vincent rented using fake IDs. She slid a photograph across the table. This is from the post office security camera on March 20th, 5 days after your father confronted him at the bank. Vincent picking up a package containing enough Digitalis to kill 10 people. Lily was recording everything on her phone. How do you know all this? Are you a detective or something? I'm a 72-year-old retired cardiac nurse whose husband lost his life savings to this monster. Rosa's voice hardened. But I spent 40 years in ICU, and I know what Digitalis poisoning looks like. When I saw your father's obituary listing cause of death as sudden cardiac arrest, I started digging. My phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. Police searched Vincent's house. Found medical supplies, fake IDs, and a list with Bobby's name crossed out. There are 6 more names on the list. He was planning to kill other financial advisors. I showed the message to Rosa, whose face went pale. 6 more. Dear God, he's accelerating the timeline. Why? Jake asked. Why didn't he just steal money and run away? Because each financial advisor manages different types of clients, Rosa explained. Your father specialized in middle-class retirement accounts. Vincent needed access to high-net-worth individuals, municipal pension funds, union retirement benefits. Every advisor he kills gives him temporary access to their client base before the accounts get transferred to new management. The scope of it was staggering. Vincent wasn't just embezzling, he was systematically murdering financial advisors to expand his access to more accounts to steal from. Rosa, how much money are we talking about total? I asked. She pulled out a calculator and started adding figures from different folders. Based on what I can document across 7 firms over 4 years? Approximately $12.3 million. Emma gasped. That's enough to buy a whole school. Or destroy the retirement security of over 400 families, Rosa said grimly. My phone rang. Detective Morrison from the White Collar Crime Unit. Ms. Chen, we just got Vincent's phone records. He made 17 calls to someone in the Cayman Islands yesterday, all after your confrontation at the park. We think he's preparing to flee the country with the stolen funds. Her voice was urgent. How quickly can you and the children get to the station? We need your statements tonight if we're going to stop him from making bail tomorrow morning. I looked around the table at Rosa's evidence, at my 3 half-siblings who'd lost their father to a serial killer, at the photographs of 7 other victims whose families still didn't know their loved ones had been murdered. We'll be there in 20 minutes, I said. And detective? Rosa Mendoza has evidence that Vincent's killed at least 7 people over 4 years. This isn't just about embezzlement anymore. As we gathered Rosa's documents, Jake tugged at my sleeve. Sarah, what happens to us after Vincent goes to prison? Marcus is scared they'll arrest him too because of the fake offshore account. Before I could answer, my phone buzzed with a news alert. Breaking. Prominent CPA Vincent Chen Parker found dead in holding cell. Apparent suicide. Note left confessing to embezzlement scheme. Rosa grabbed my phone, her face ashen. That's impossible. I was monitoring the police scanner. He was scheduled for psychiatric evaluation tomorrow morning. She looked up at me, terror in her eyes. Sarah, Vincent didn't kill himself. Someone killed him to keep him quiet. And I realized that whatever criminal organization Vincent had been working for was far larger and more dangerous than any of us had imagined. The news of Vincent's suicide sent shockwaves through our little group at Denny's, but Rosa's suspicious expression told me we weren't dealing with a simple case of guilt-driven self-destruction. Within hours, Detective Morrison confirmed our worst fears. Vincent's cell had been compromised, and a supposed confession note was typed on prison letterhead, something inmates don't have access to. This goes deeper than one rogue accountant, Morrison told us during an emergency meeting at the police station. Vincent's phone records show contact with a network spanning 12 states. We're talking about organized financial crime on a massive scale. But the real breakthrough came from an unexpected source, Marcus. 3 days after Vincent's death, Marcus showed up at my apartment with a duffel bag and a haunted expression. "I've been getting death threats," he said without preamble. "Someone wants the evidence Bobby gathered about the embezzlement ring." "What evidence?" Marcus unzipped the bag, revealing stacks of documents I'd never seen. Bobby was building a case against Vincent for months. Client account records, wire transfer authorizations, even recordings of phone conversations. He hid everything in our house on Maple Street because he knew they'd search his office first. Jake grabbed one of the folders. "Dad was like a secret detective. He was trying to protect everyone," Marcus said quietly. "His legitimate clients, you and your mother, and us. That's why he never filed the complaint with the Attorney General. He needed enough evidence to bring down the entire network, not just Vincent." The documents were explosive. Dad had traced the stolen money through 17 different offshore accounts, identifying at least 43 financial advisors across the country who were unknowingly having their clients' funds diverted. The total theft exceeded $37 million over 8 years. But the most damning evidence was a recorded phone call from 2 weeks before Dad's death. Vincent's voice was clear: "The Chin problem needs a permanent solution. He's got enough evidence to bring down the entire Southeast operation." The voice that responded made my blood freeze. "Understood. Make it look natural. Heart attack, stroke, whatever. Just clean up your mess, Vincent." Detective Morrison traced the second voice to Thomas Kellerman, a senior partner at Kellerman and Associates, one of the largest financial services firms in the state. The same firm that had been quietly acquiring smaller practices whose advisors had died of sudden cardiac events. Within a week, the FBI had arrested 17 people across 6 states. Kellerman and Associates was revealed as a hub of a massive Ponzi scheme that used murdered financial advisors' client lists to recruit new victims. Vincent had been their primary enforcer, eliminating advisors who got too close to the truth. The financial recovery took 18 months, but every stolen dollar was returned to victims' families. Rosa Mendoza got her husband's retirement funds back. The families of the 7 murdered advisors received substantial settlements from the Federal Victims Compensation Fund. Mom and I received $180,000 in recovered funds that Dad had been secretly tracking, money Vincent had stolen specifically from Dad's clients but hadn't yet moved to offshore accounts. It wasn't everything we'd lost, but it was enough for Mom to retire comfortably and for me to finally finish college. Marcus kept the house on Maple Street, but signed over half the ownership to Mom as compensation for Dad's deception. The kids' college funds remained intact. They had been funded by legitimate insurance policies Dad had purchased with his own money, not stolen funds. 6 months after the arrests, I got an unexpected call from Lily. "Sarah? We're having a memorial service for Dad next Sunday. The real one he never got. Will you and Mom come?" At Riverside Memorial Chapel, the same place where this all began, I watched my mother place flowers on Dad's grave alongside Marcus and 3 children who finally knew the whole truth about their father. He'd been a flawed man who'd made terrible choices, but in the end, he died trying to do the right thing. Jake, now 13 and startlingly wise, gave a short speech. Our dad wasn't perfect. He lied to people he loved, and he hurt our families by keeping secrets. But when bad people tried to steal from innocent families, he chose to fight them even though he knew it might cost him his life. As we stood together, Mom, Marcus, Lily, Jake, Emma, and me, I realized Dad had left us something more valuable than money. He'd left us each other. The man at my father's funeral had indeed had Dad's eyes. But more than that, he'd had Dad's heart, imperfect, complicated, but ultimately good. And that, I decided, was enough.